guest tonight is a Democratic congressman from Texas who serves on both the House Foreign Affairs Committee and Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Please welcome Congressman Joaquin Castro. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the news that just broke today. You and your fellow Democrats on the House Select Intelligence Committee released about 3,500 Facebook ads today showing how Russian agents bought ads to try and create, conflict around the 2016 election. There were many ads, for instance, around the Super Bowl and Beyonce that they bought, which is insane. Like, they were trying to break us apart using Beyonce. That's the biggest scandal, isn't it?
One of the biggest scandals, at
right.
least. Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. They were basically trying to pour acid on every wound in American politics. So if you look at those ads, and actually not everything has been released because there's a whole cache of videos also, but it was anti-Black Lives Matter and pro-Black Lives Matter, pro-cop, anti-cop, pro-Hispanic, anti-Hispanic.
Right.
It was really trying to cut people up every single way that you could. And I can't help but think that it basically exacerbated a lot of the tensions in a way that helped Donald Trump get elected.
Right, and many people say America is more divided now than ever before. There's no doubt that Facebook has played a role in this. Do you think that it is now up to Facebook or up to Congress to find a solution to this problem? Do you say no political ads on Facebook, or do you say that political ads have to be curated? How does this problem begin to get solved?
Well, I think it's actually both. I think it's on Facebook and on Congress. But one of the things that they have to do that's not required actually in political advertising on social media is that on social media, when you post a political ad, you don't have to say who's paying for it right now. If you go look at a campaign sign or a television ad, where people say, I approve this message, there's none of that on Facebook. So that would be an easy first step so that we can actually see who's paying for this stuff.
Right, just create some accountability so people know where it's coming from. Russia seems to be a story that doesn't leave the news. Some people think it's over-exaggerated, others feel like it's not thought of as being serious enough. We recently found that Michael Cohen, Trump's personal lawyer, has been receiving payments from corporations, and one payment he received was from a company that's linked to a Russian oligarch who's close to Vladimir Putin. On a scale of 1 to 10, how shady is that?
It's about a 12. I mean, it's like, this guy is about as shady as you can get. I mean, he basically has made his career a sacrifice fly, Devin Nunes, but also Michael Cohen, for the president.
Right.
I mean, this is somebody who, we did the interview of him several months ago, but you could tell that there was something that he wasn't telling us.
Right.
As all this stuff is coming out, I mean, it's clear that there are a lot of things wrong with this guy.
When you made a statement about this, you tweeted that AT&T and Novartis, two of the companies who had paid Michael Cohen, should come before Congress and explain these payments. You're saying this is clearly them, it reeked of influence peddling. Could you help explain to me, to maybe help me understand, what is the difference between this and lobbying? Because I've always thought of lobbying as corruption, so I don't understand what the difference is between what they were doing with Michael Cohen and what lobbying is.
I mean, well, the easiest thing to say is, look, for example, Novartis put out a statement saying that they were paying Michael Cohen for health care counseling or consulting. The guy has no background in health care. Absolutely zero knowledge about health care. So why are you paying him $250,000 or whatever it was that they paid him?
Right.
It makes no sense.
Right. But what is the difference between that and lobbying is what I'm saying.
Well, usually, I mean, these folks have to register, right? So we know that you're accepting the money. We know what clients you're taking on. And usually when you're getting paid to lobby, it's because you have an expertise in the field.
So would you say then the only difference really is that one is formalized and the other one isn't? And is that the big difference?
That's certainly the biggest difference.
Right.
Sure.
If we talk about your Republican counterparts on the committee, they also announced about Russia. They said, hey, we found no collusion. This issue is done, and we're over this. The Democratic committee has said, we're not done yet. We still want to talk to some people. We still have evidence to release. Has it become so politicized that the eventual answer of this Russia investigation is not going to mean anything?
I hope not. I mean, the House investigation got really politicized. Devin Nunes, who was the chairman, has basically been working in service to the president. And so, yeah, things basically went off the rail with the House investigation. But you still have the Senate investigation and a lot more bipartisanship there. And Bob Mueller, of course, who's the only person in this whole thing that can prosecute anybody for a crime,
right.
His investigation seems to be on track.
Right. Moving on to immigration, you have been a champion for many dreamers. You've been a champion for many immigrants who moved to America who are trying to start a new life. The issue of DACA has been one that has been plaguing both dreamers and, I would argue, the United States as a whole. President Trump passed the problem on to Congress, and many say rightfully so, because this is an issue that should be voted on. The president shouldn't decide it. Why does it seem like it's such a difficult issue? Republicans are just saying they want money for the border wall. Why don't Democrats just say, okay, fine, have your money for the border wall, and let's get these dreamers where they deserve to
Yeah,
be?
you're right. I mean, I think it's a shame that nothing has happened. There is actually some light that may be at the end of the tunnel. This week, 18 Republicans finally signed on to what's called a discharge petition.
Right.
And if we get to 25 Republicans with all the Democrats, then even though Paul Ryan doesn't want to put the bill on the floor for a vote, he would be forced to give us a vote on this bill. So that's actually something that's promising and could happen as early as next week.
That's really exciting. And when you talk to your constituents, as someone who's in Texas, I believe if my numbers are correct, there are about 100,000 DACA-enrolled dreamers in Texas.
Yeah, 120,000.
120,000. Yeah. Do these people, like, is the community accepting as well? Do your constituents go, no, we want these dreamers to be here. We want to give them the life that they were promised?
Yeah, I mean, even in what is considered a red or conservative state like Texas, you still have over 75% support for dreamers.
Right.
You know, and I always remind folks that there is a scarier day in America than the day when everybody wants to come here. That's the day when nobody wants to come here.
Right.
You know, so we're very blessed that people from all over the world have wanted to come here and lend their hard work and their talent to succeeding, but also making this a better country.
And it's interesting that you bring up the Republicans, because one thing I've always been impressed about is how you have been known as the person who reaches across the aisle. You find ways to work with Republicans who you may disagree with. What is your secret? Is it cupcakes?
Well, you know, there's the backstory to that is that basically, yeah, I got elected to the Texas legislature when I was 28. And I'm 43 now, but in all of those years, I've always been in the minority party. I've never existed in the majority party. Now, I believe that's going to change next year. I think Democrats are going to win back the House of Representatives. You know, I also think that we're going to finally win a Senate seat. I think Beto O'Rourke will beat Ted Cruz in that Senate race in 2018.
Wow.
That's my prediction. But yeah, so when you're the minority party, actually, you can't beat the other side with numbers.
Right.
You can't just run people over with numbers because you don't have the numbers on your side. So it forces you to learn how to work with people that you don't necessarily agree with, and they don't agree with you.
Right.
But you try to find common ground on some things.
This is something that you've extended to not just your fellow lawmakers, but also voters. You've been holding dissenter town halls, which I find a fascinating concept. What you basically do is you hold a town hall, but specifically for people who don't like you and don't agree with you.
That's right.
Have you never heard of Twitter? You can do that there.
No, that's what inspired me. Look, every day I would get these messages. I mean, people calling you every name in the book.
Right, right.
On Twitter, on Facebook, sometimes on Instagram, by email, by phone, everything. And I finally said, you know what? And a lot of times, sometimes they put their actual name.
Right.
But oftentimes people don't.
Right.
And I said, you know what? Why don't I just invite all these folks and actually hear them out in person and give them a chance to tell me what they want to tell me. And so a few weeks ago, we did that. And, you know, it was about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and they let me have it, pretty much.
But when you have this conversation, are there people who walk away going, I think differently, or is it just a forum for people to shout?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody walked away saying, hey, I'm going to vote for you now, but I do think that they respect that you took the time to actually sit there, and they know that I'm going to stand up for what I believe, but that I'm also going to explain why I believe it, and I'm going to listen to people even when we disagree.
Right.
I think every representative, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, owes that to the people they represent.
And is there any one person who came to that event who maybe changed you a little bit?
Yeah, no, I mean, hearing other people's perspective, that's the thing. Like, you can get so caught up in just either hearing from or listening to the people that agree with you. And, you know, you're grateful for those folks too, but you can get so caught up in that bubble that you don't consider the other side enough. So yeah, of course, there are times where listening to the other side, listening to people in my district, it makes me think twice on some issues.
You've been in the game for a long time, but you're still a young man. It's exciting to see where you're going to go. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Really, really good having you.
Congressman Joaquin Castro, everybody.